Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 73 through 75 of RuYi's Royal Love. RuYi and the Emperor are alone after he's made a fool of himself presenting noble Lady Rong with her new palace. RuYi tries once again to tell him how ridiculous he's being about her.
作为妻子，心中并不认同夫君所为。
He persists in his delusions though.
朕知道得不到他的心，但他人在也是好的。
Of course, all RuYi has to say is that she understands and she will be right back in his good graces. But instead, our foolishly honest girl insists on speaking the truth. She can't pretend she's okay with this.
RuYi.
On her way out, RuYi runs into the palace painter who says he's here to paint the Emperor and Rong together. RuYi doesn't let it show, but oh, how heartbreaking. The Emperor can only be painted with his wife, the Empress. When they were younger, they would paint each other and stick the portraits together. When they finally got married, they finally got to be painted together and it was so sweet, and now, wow. If you watched this scene, you might have noticed the camera lingered a bit on her walking and we see her step through the gate with her left foot. One of the seemingly endless court etiquette rules is that men step through main gates with their left foot, women with their right. I can't guarantee no mistakes were made, in fact I'm sure there probably were quite a few. But it should be that way except for some scenes where the character is doing it as an act of rebellion or they're so completely out of it that they just don't care. So this very deliberate choice by RuYi seems to represent her really giving up on her status as a woman of the palace. No one can say she didn't fight long and hard. Speaking of which, Rong finally surrenders and starts serving the Emperor in bed. She officially becomes a woman of the harem. After her first morning meeting, she asks to speak with RuYi in private.
你们都告退吧。
She asks her bluntly how she can avoid getting pregnant. The Emperor is seeing her exclusively, sending her endless gifts, and of course every woman in the harem is jealous of her, but she doesn't want this. She can't kill herself out of fear of what he would do to her family, but she can at least make sure she doesn't bring a child into this. We don't see how RuYi responds, but then the Empress Dowager calls her in. She's also worried about Rong having a child and how this will make an even bigger mess of things. She doesn't beat around the bush and tells RuYi to have Rong drink something that will make her barren. Such a cop-out for the Empress Dowager because of course, all the blame will fall on RuYi no matter who ordered her to do it.
明明知道让儿臣这么做，皇上是会恨儿臣的。
If the Empress Dowager really just cared about order in the harem, she could so easily force Rong to drink whatever she wanted. But she doesn't want to get herself in trouble, so instead she forces RuYi to do it under the guise of it being her responsibility to keep order in the harem. Such a trash thing to do. RuYi goes to see Rong with the medicine. She drinks without complaint. RuYi really shouldn't feel guilty about this since this is what she wanted, but I think she's sad for Rong that she has to go this far just to have a modicum of control over her life. Doctors are called in as Rong starts to suffer pain from the medicine. The Emperor rushes over right away. He arrives to the news that his precious flower will never be able to have children. RuYi doesn't hide and says she is responsible. Without waiting for even a word of explanation, luckily, the Empress Dowager shows up. At least she has some decency in sticking up for RuYi after putting her in this situation. Not a lot, but some. The Empress Dowager starts lecturing the Emperor while RuYi cries quietly in the background. She says Rong wanted this, conveniently leaving out the part where she forced RuYi to do this, but okay. When Rong wakes up and the Emperor goes to see her, she also says, "Don't blame RuYi, I wanted this," but he just will not hear it. Just then, we get the news that Yanwan has given birth to her fourth child, the 15th prince. To punish RuYi, he promotes Yanwan to consort and gives her temporary control of the harem. I'm sorry, did you not hear literally everyone? She asked for this. RuYi did nothing wrong. Once the news is made official, the ever-fickle ladies of the harem start ignoring RuYi and spending all their time at Yanwan's. Hailan and Yang stay loyal though. And of course, she still has her sons. That said, even 5th Prince starts to grow distant from RuYi and he's pretty much stopped visiting her. He's spending all of his time with his beloved Yunjiao. Even though they've been together for years at this point and he clearly treats her well, she's still intent on using him for revenge. She discourages him from going to see a doctor about his illness and she's been quietly driving a wedge between him and RuYi, convincing him that now the 12th Prince has grown up, RuYi will no doubt stop looking out for him. I just can't believe that with nothing but Yanwan's word, she's devoted herself so completely to this revenge plot. How do you live with someone so kind for years and still hurt them like this? Yanwan knows how to pick 'em. As the new head of the harem, Yanwan has a taste for power now and she is not letting it go anytime soon. She begins working closely with Jing Se to besmirch RuYi's name. They start by putting together a collection of poems that the Emperor wrote for the first Empress, wanting to spread the idea that RuYi is not as loved as the previous Empress was. They're even smart enough to use someone else to do it. Yanwan tells Imperial Concubine Wan that the Emperor would be delighted to see the poems released. Wan isn't completely innocent in that I'm sure a part of her knows this will make RuYi look bad, but she hasn't served the Emperor in over 6 years at this point, and I have a hard time blaming her for doing this to get his attention, especially as it does work and he goes to see her. It's crazy how much care went into developing her as a character. She's such a minor part of the show, but I feel like I understand and feel for her so much. She even apologizes to RuYi later, admitting that she didn't realize it would get so out of hand. Hailan goes to see RuYi and bluntly tells her that the move by this trio has resulted in everyone comparing her to the first Empress, and most agreeing that she's not as good. RuYi has been avoiding the Emperor for the last 6 months after the slapping incident. Understandable, but it's now starting to bite her in the butt. The two finally run into each other outside of the royal school as she's dropping 12th Prince off.
Haha.
Unfortunately, it immediately devolves into an argument when the Emperor says her son isn't doing as well as 5th Prince was at his age. I'll try and not be 100% biased towards RuYi by saying that the Emperor at least tries to sorta maybe put on a slightly apologetic tone when he says that they haven't seen each other in forever. It's too f***ing late though. And also, mid-apology, he chooses the worst words possible and says the first Empress wouldn't have acted like this. RuYi reacts as you would expect, and he yells after her that she needs to repent and shouldn't be raising a child. So from now on, 12th Prince will be sent to live with Hailan. Consort Yu, the woman who got in trouble for spying on the Emperor and smuggling aphrodisiacs in, is allowed out of her palace for the first time in 2 years. This is because the family is off to her home tribe where her father and family will be in attendance, so it would be awkward not to have her there as well. Yanwan makes sure to play this to her advantage, going to see Yu and making sure that she knows that these last 2 years of confinement were all RuYi's faults. So sick of RuYi being the cause of all the world's problems. Did RuYi force you to smuggle in drugs? Did she force you to spy? Just shut up. So the Emperor, his sons, and most of the women leave the palace. By the way, quick recap on our prince situation. 1 through 3 are dead, 4th prince is no longer a prince, leaving Yongqi as the oldest. Then there's 6th prince, Chun's son, 7th prince is dead, 8th prince is here but can't participate because of that leg injury, 9 and 10 are dead, leaving 11th and 12th prince as the youngest in attendance. The first night ends with a family banquet. Early into the night, 12th prince gets sleepy, so RuYi takes him back to his room. Then Yu starts exchanging eyes with her father, so obviously something is up. On their way back, RuYi and the 12th prince are attacked and 12th prince is taken hostage. While Yu watches from behind a tent, RuYi starts begging and trying to convince the man to take her instead. Yu grows impatient and rushes out, telling the assassin that he has no chance of escaping as the guards are coming, obviously hinting that he should hurry up and kill the 12th prince. Luckily, RuYi stalled long enough for the Emperor to show up. The assassin claims to be a disgruntled man of the Han tribe, tired of the tyrannical rule of the Emperor. While he's doing his evil villain speech, Yuncha throws a knife. It stabs him in the hand, forcing him to release the sobbing 12th prince. RuYi rushes out to grab her son. Then the man takes out a knife and tries to stab RuYi, but Yuncha rushes in to protect her. He's stabbed, falls on top of her, leaving them in this compromising position.
成何体统?
Decor! He just saved her life! Oh, I hate it here. 12th prince is safe with just a little cut on his neck, and RuYi takes him to see the doctor. Rong makes it clear that there is no way this man is from her tribe, but before the man can be interrogated further, he commits suicide. Yanwan gets home and is really pissed. Not because the plan failed, but because Yuncha disregarded his life to save RuYi.
他真是疯了吗?
When Hailan and RuYi are alone, Hailan also makes it clear that the way he saved her, it looked more like love than a servant obliged to protect his master. RuYi tries to brush it off. They're friends, but the Emperor saw it that way as well. Unable to sleep that night, he goes to see RuYi. Things again start off badly with the Emperor complaining that 12th Prince did not show the bravery of a royal heir. RuYi starts arguing with him, things turn into an argument about the marriage, and the Emperor asks if she's not satisfied with him, if she has some other guy in mind. Mind you, 12th Prince is awake, literally crying not 2 feet away.
都是儿臣的错，你别和皇娘争执。
The Emperor storms off, telling her he's had enough of her attitude and she'd better be more obedient in the future. Right in front of the kid. We all know that this has been over and we're just watching the death struggles of a dying relationship fish. Now that they've brought the first Empress back into this, I can't help but wonder how she would have handled all of this. With Rong, I have no doubt she would have given her strained smile and supported him all the way. You're totally right, husband. She is so hot. Do you want to have a threesome? She would never have stood up to him the way RuYi has. And the thing is, he disliked her and treated her terribly while she was alive, but now he's all, she was so sweet, so gentle. It's sickening. It does crack me up how so many of her stories have become warped to make her seem like the good guy.
若无孝贤皇后将令妃从花房送去了启祥宫当差，她怎会机缘巧合侍奉皇上，成为今日重嫔之首呢？
Oh, you mean that time when the Empress got mad that Yanwan said one nice thing about RuYi, so she sent her to get tortured at Jia's palace? And then the Emperor happened to notice Yanwan because of all the bruises she had? Yeah, that sure was sweet of her. I guess you can get away with these things when most of the principal characters in your story are dead. I can't help but wonder though, if sticking up to the Emperor was really the right move for RuYi. As crazy as he's being about Rong, a part of her has to know that it's temporary. As soon as Rong relents and starts acting more like the other women in the harem, the fire will cool and he will move on. If I were the Empress here, that would have been my move. Let Rong know that if she really wants to be free, all she needs to do is become as tepid as tap water. No fighting back, no arguing, wear whatever he wants you to wear, agree with whatever he says. Eventually, he will absolutely lose interest and you can just, live your life stuck in the palace forever. And now for a look at the book. Buckle up, this one's a doozy. There's a character who it seems was completely removed from the drama, Imperial concubine Shun. She would have come in as one of the Mongolian women introduced in episode 54, the highest ranked of that group. She enters without much fanfare, receives a bit of love, and he loses interest. Shun doesn't seem interested in regaining his favor and kinda does her own thing. But this means the Emperor never has her on his mind, and when her father dies, it doesn't even cross his mind to let her know. She doesn't find out until more than a year later when they go to visit the Mongolian tribes, which brings us to this point in the drama. So RuYi takes 12th Prince back to their tent and they happen across two figures hugging in the dark. They turn out to be Shun and her childhood sweetheart, a man from her tribe. RuYi is actually willing to let them go and pretend she didn't see anything, but then Yu spots them and starts shouting, bringing in the guards. Shun's lover then takes 12th Prince hostage. The Emperor shows up. It's obvious what the situation is, and knowing there's no way out, Shun really lets him have it, saying she's been disgusted living with him, that, like Rong, she's had no choice but to stuff her emotions down in order to keep her tribe safe. She has a pretty cool line about how no matter how long she stays in the palace, she knows her roots are Mongolian, unlike the Emperor, who pretends to be someone's son, knowing that he's not. Very embarrassing for the Emperor to hear in front of, literally everyone. 5th Prince has slowly been sneaking closer all this time and manages to take Shun hostage. He tells the man that if he releases 12th Prince, he will let Shun go as well. The man can't help but agree, but as soon as he lets 12th Prince go, the Emperor shoots him with an arrow. And at this point, 12th Prince is still very close to the man. So RuYi sees that the man intends to use his last bit of energy to stab 12th Prince with a knife and throws herself over him. She braces herself for the pain of the knife cutting into her, and then someone protects her. And of course, it wasn't the Emperor, it was Yuncha. She quietly asks if he's badly hurt, and he responds, as long as you're safe. This feels so intimate that in this situation, I can understand why the Emperor immediately jumps to jealousy. RuYi starts to cry and thinks, the one who should really have been by her side never actually was. Just like during the agonizing years in the Cold Palace, the only one she could ever rely on was Ling Yuncha. Then 5th Prince stabs Shun, and as she's bleeding out, she says, you are worth less than even a guard. Even in death, I don't want to be near you. Then she drags herself over to her lover's body and dies. The Emperor then tries to take RuYi's hand, but she angrily shouts at him for shooting the man while 12th Prince was still so close by. He responds that his other sons wouldn't have been so useless in this situation. It pretty much devolves into the same argument, but in front of everyone. You can just hear the crickets. Finally, RuYi, in a fit of anger, turns her attention to Yu and tells her servants to slap her for causing such a mess by screaming when she saw Shun and the man. But no, not regular slapping. As the Emperor walks away, RuYi has Rongpei pull out a thin wooden board. Imperial concubine Yu was scared out of her mind. She struggled to beg for mercy as the two young eunuchs went up to hold her tightly. To prevent her from yelling and cursing, they covered her mouth with white silk as Rongpei raised her hand to begin the beating. Though the Emperor had left, the concubines were still there. They watched the wooden board make contact with the delicate flesh, splashing blood-red pearls. Yanwan hadn't realized just how much anger RuYi held inside. She stood frozen and didn't dare to intercede. Everyone could see that both the Empress and the Imperial noble consort were in no mood to speak, and since they didn't much like Yu's attitude in the past, no one was willing to plead for leniency. Imperial concubine Yu tried her best to dodge the blows, but there was nowhere to hide. Rongpei's strikes were ruthless and precise. She hit mercilessly as blood splattered. With a muffled sound, Yu's front teeth fell onto the ground in a stream of blood. They bounced once or twice before rolling away in a bloody mess. Now, mind you, in the book, Yu's only crime here was shouting when she saw what she thought was an assassin. This is clearly just to vent her anger. Drama RuYi would never. Till next time, thanks for watching.